And we are now streaming inside of Zoom. Give it a second for people to trickle in. Thank you again, Anna, for sharing this beautiful slide. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 11th episode of Startup Showdown. I'm Jasmine Hoffman, your host for today, the head of experience at TechUnited, and today's episode is all about voice. We are extremely thrilled to have the companies with us here today and the three experts in the space that are going to be judging and asking all the great questions. If this is your first time ever tuning into Startup Showdown, welcome. And if you're joining us again, welcome back. We're excited to have you here today, and we want to encourage as much engagement from our audience here as possible. So as the startups are pitching, be sure to put any questions you might have for them in the Q&A button. I'll be moderating those and asking them after each of the investors and judges provides their feedback after the pitch. If you have any other comments, interesting articles, interesting facts to share, news, you want to just chime in how you're doing today, put that in the chat. Now, we are really excited, like I said, to be talking about voice. This is an extremely interesting topic because it's been growing exponentially over the last couple of years. I read a ton of articles before this show about voice technology, voice assistants, NLP. Like, I feel like a true expert these days. And that's with Leslie on the call. And she's the real expert here, probably. And so what's interesting is voice has boomed. I think it's something like 40% of people in the US have leveraged a voice assistant, and they either have like an Alexa or a Google device in their home, or they leverage the one on their phone. So it's an expanding market, and I'm very excited to have these three companies, Fonvigo, TrueReply, and SpeakTo Software, pitching today. Before the companies get into their pitches, I would love for the three judges joining us today to say hello very quickly. So I'll start with you, Steve, if you wouldn't mind.
I feel like we're on Hollywood Squares here. But this is Steve Sokoloff. I am with Tech Council Ventures. We are a venture fund based in New Jersey, very close partners to TechUnited. And we are investing in the Mid-Atlantic region. So we try to stay fairly local. We are early stage generalists, but our focus tends to be digital health, enterprise, and clean tech. And we've made 4 investments since February, since we've been locked down a little bit by COVID. So just want to make the point that we're very active and interested in new opportunities and excited to hear today's pitches.
Excellent. And thank you for being here. And if I didn't say it earlier, we launched this show with Tech Council Ventures. It's sort of a bit of our brainchild to figure out a way to highlight startups and investors in different industries in a fun way. So thanks to the whole Tech Council Ventures team for working on us with this. It's been something we've really enjoyed doing. And we're happy to see so many startups showcasing themselves and getting investment from these opportunities. So without any further ado, I'm going to head over to Leslie, if you could say hello. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Jasmine. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Leslie Garcia Amaya. I'm here as an angel investor today, and I do work at Google on the Google Assistant Partnerships team. I lead a couple of verticals for the team, so meals and finance. What does that mean? I work with partners like Food Network, All Recipes, Tasty, Tastemade, to bring their content to our devices, specifically our smart display devices, and enable you as users to say, hey, Google, what should I make for dinner tonight? And get help along the way with that. And then on the finance side, I work with partners like American Express, Capital One, and Mint, so that you can say, hey, Google, what's my account balance with Amex? Outside of my day job, I recently joined the board of Women in Voice, which is a nonprofit that started about 2 years ago to really create more community and connection among the Women in Voice community. So very excited to be here today and hear from these startups.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here today. And last but not least, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jasmine. My name is Dan Borak. I'm a partner at Newark Venture Partners, and we are a seed stage focused fund. And for us, we've about 100 million under management and investing out of our second fund. What's really interesting to us about voice and audio it's one of the three sort of thematic areas where we spend a lot of time. At a high level, we're B2B SaaS focused fund, and we develop thematic initiatives that we really spend a lot of time researching and generally make a number of investments around a theme. And audio and voice are one of our core initiatives. And we see happening in the audio and voice space, there's a proliferation of endpoint devices like, from Google and Alexa, smart earbuds, and other ways to listen more constructively than in the past. And there's been a spike in the percentage of people who are engaging with spoken word audio on a daily basis. I think it's about 43% of Americans listen to spoken word on a weekly basis. So that explosion in content getting us really excited about the opportunity in the market.
Absolutely. And you will actually not believe this. I just put a survey out to the audience here asking how frequently do they use a voice assistant. And the real number of people that use it daily is 43% of the people that took this survey.
That's 42% floating around.
Exactly a match. So it's just for the people listening, we have about 60% of the folks on the call today use a voice assistant weekly or daily, which is really interesting. And I hope that'll tie into some of the pitches that we'll hear today. So I'm going to remind everyone again, questions in the Q&A as you're hearing the pitches, comments in the chat. We're going to be hearing from Roy first, and then we're going to be bringing Jose and Matt on later on for their pitches, which will be second and third for the day. Without any further ado, Roy, I'm going to turn it over to you to share your screen and start your 5-minute pitch whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you all for joining me and the opportunity to present Fonvigo. I'll share my screen.
All right. You want to head into presentation mode and we'll be all set.
Yep. Okay, so my name is Roy Gurion and I'm the CEO and one of the 3 co-founders of Fonvigo. We developed unique technology enabling communicating with devices and apps in natural language, just as if you're talking to a friend. We target businesses that need these capabilities on their devices and apps. Obviously, natural language conversation with devices and apps is the ultimate solution. Besides being simple and intuitive, you can have your hands free, you can have your eyes free, you can do multitasking activities, and you don't need to train. You just say what you need and it's working. And with the corona around, it's touchless, so virus-free. Voice is everywhere. Gartner predicts that by 2022, more than 60% of all interactions with devices and apps will be based on voice. Digital voice assistants, the fastest growing category in the next 5 years. Everyone in all verticals are looking for voice solutions, and we are here to enable it. And here is our value proposition. We bring AI-based natural language voice interfaces to machines and data, resulting in improved productivity and reduced operational costs. So why working with us? Unlike Siri or Alexa or Google, we work offline, on the device, on the edge, on premise, no internet connection, and 100% privacy and security for your data. We know how to work in noisy environment. We know how to work with different accents and different dialects and bring very high level of understanding in these environments. We have our own set of tools, 5 years of development. So basically everything is possible and everything is configurable. Although our technology is suitable to all verticals, we decided to focus on 2 segments. Industry 4, under warehouse and logistics, and medical devices. Why? 4 reasons for that. There's a huge market, look at the numbers. There is a readiness in the market for such solutions, with 94% of decision makers in the medical devices segment declaring they will increase investment in voice next year. We have their strategic partners, and voice is very effective on these segments. As a B2B, we target organizations that needs these capabilities on their product, on their processes. One example is RGIS, a warehouse and logistics management company. They use our technology to bring pricing and promotion updates with their employees by voice instead of by a tablet, touching, with 99% accuracy and more than 30% increase in productivity. Another example is General Electric Healthcare with a medical device. The doctor's hands are busy and he is using his voice to activate the devices. Our business models will be mainly per device or per user on an OEM agreement. We have traction in customers in various verticals. It's worth mentioning Schindler Elevators with talking elevators just installed in the Sheba Hospital in Israel and in several offices buildings in Israel. Also worth mentioning Elbit, Trackcase, Israeli Air Force and Israeli Special Forces with defense solutions that we cannot speak about. And of course, the car industry. Going from POCs to production, our revenues will more than double this year and hopefully will triple next year. We want to raise $3 million, mainly for marketing and sales activities. And in the past, we already have raised $800,000 from a VC called TerraLab Ventures in Israel. We are also funded by the Israeli Innovation Authority in around the same numbers. We have the best team in this field. Two of the co-founders already had a company named Voicey for solutions in voice for the blind people. We have two experts with more than 20 years experience in our advisory board. And we have a general manager in America sitting in New Jersey who is very known in the IoT market. Thank you all, and I hope you join us in the voice revolution.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna head to the investor feedback first. Let's start with Steve.
I think that was a great presentation. I agree that voice interfaces are definitely coming. You talked about being able to operate offline, which I assume means limited vocabulary. I was impressed by the customer engagements you seem to have, but would love to hear a little bit more about the sort of the vocabulary limitations and how that sort of serves for product market fit with your technology, and a little bit more about pricing model, and a little bit about competition. There's obviously, you know, big vendors out there like Google and Amazon and Apple that all have, you know, heavy duty voice technology platforms and lots of other providers. So would have liked to have heard a little bit more about competition as well.
Okay, so regarding the vocabulary, it varies between a specific and a small vocabulary for example, for the elevators, but it can be even a free language support for the offline. And don't forget that when I'm saying offline, it can be on-prem, it can be on servers that are sitting inside the corporation, and they have computational power. Also, we have a cooperation with NVIDIA because we are able to run a complete model for English on their Jetson Nano. So to answer your question, it varies and it depends on the specification of the solution. Most of the time it will be a dedicated vocabulary for the specification of the device or for the process. And when we are aiming to the industry 4, our main purpose will be to bring very high level of understanding within this context, because it will be very efficient and the ROI will be immediate. Regarding the pricing model, as I said, it can be per device or per user. We prefer per user because most of the times you can find yourself with multi-users using the same device. So obviously we will want by by the user, and our customers will want by the device. We are talking large numbers, so it's okay if it will be also by the device, as long as there are a lot of devices. Think about refrigerators, think about printers. We are talking about a massive amount of devices, so we can be on the same models. What was the next? The next question was about the competition. Another important thing is that we can work hybrid modes. So we are able to connect to the cloud if necessary, but we work both offline and online, and that's another advantage. Regarding the competition, we see our competitors in small companies, relatively small. We don't consider Google and Amazon as our competitors. They more bring the news to the market, they educate the market. We see companies like Sensory, Pico Voice, Snips AI, Fluent AI, these kind of companies as our competitors, direct competitors.
Thank you for that. I'm going to head over to Dan for your feedback.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a very interesting opportunity. You know, I like to think about reducing friction in how people engage with machines, right? It's wrong that we've had to learn how to code just to teach machines what we need them to do. So voice is a natural way for us to engage more effectively. I guess when I think about go-to-market, you know, you're talking to companies in so many different industries. I wonder how you think about that, which kind of dilutes your focus versus specific industries. You mentioned healthcare, how you sort of made that choice, and if you kind of had to choose one area of opportunity that you felt would be the biggest growth vector for you, what industry would it be and why?
Okay, so that's a great question.
Thank you.
As a bootstrap company, at the beginning, we didn't have the privilege to focus on a specific segment. We were running after the money and after our clients. So everyone that came and said that we want the solution, we were after them. And the decision was to focus exactly because we understood that there is an advantage in the process itself. When you are concentrated on a specific vertical, you are going to bring added value because of the process of the solution. So to answer your questions, I will go with the Industry 4 because mainly because we have the added value, we have the strategic partner who is working with us and is ready to distribute our solutions under his name. And it's a huge market, so we have to, to focus. Saying that, if tomorrow you will ask me if HP want my solution in their printers, I will change my mind.
Got it. Thanks.
Very fair. And Leslie, your thoughts and feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Roy, for walking us through that. When we talk to partners at Google, we need to be really crisp and clear on the value prop pretty early on in the conversation. And I'm not sure I totally grasped that from your value prop slide. Do you mind sharing, just taking another stab at walking us through the specific value prop in just a few bullets?
Sure. I think the value proposition is the ability to bring a working voice solution to all the environments of the customers, whether you have an internet, whether you don't have an internet, whether you are in a specific vocabulary, whether you have a changing in the free speech vocabulary, and whether you want to combine them, whether you are working on a noisy environment or whether you are working with a specific accent and dialects. When you are targeting a B2B and you are going to be deployed for 20,000 employees that are using these applications, some of them are going to speak strangely, and some of them are going to have a specific accent. And we have the tools to customize the system and the application to their exact dialect. And the whole solution is our own. As I said, it's our own IP. So if the customer is looking for something very specific and unique, he's going to get it.
Thank you.
I think honing in on that, we got one of the questions from the audience was asking about your 99%, I think it was accuracy rate. And they were asking if that was after a learning curve of how long and how you were able to manage the different dialects and different languages. Like that seems to be really the core differentiator, right? Is this ability to pull these different regions.
Yeah, the high level of the understanding. And yes, it's after the training, and it's after also, as I mentioned, a specific training for specific users. Each one that came had to train himself for about 7 minutes one time, and then he gets an acoustic model that is of his own. When you log into the system, you're going to get a different acoustic model for another employee. So yes, we trained it, and it was, and it's part of the tools that we bring to the table.
Got it. And if you had to focus on just one specific industry where you see the greatest opportunity for this, what would that be?
It's a tough question. I don't know, because every time I think I have this the correct answer, I find some other use cases on different segments that popping up. For example, the Schindler elevator popped up because of the COVID-19. When it wasn't, people started to be afraid to touching the buttons. So, you know, it's very hard for me to tell you exactly what's the one and only, and if I knew, I would concentrate on
it. Got it. Got it. Well, I appreciate you answering all these questions here and pitching. We're going to bring you back on for the closing remarks. And Jose, I'm going to ask you to hop on for your true reply pitch. There he is. Boy, thank you again.
Sure.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Coto, and I'm one of the founders of TrueReply and CEO. And let's jump right in here. In a few short years, voice will be the fastest, easiest, and most powerful interface to everything you love doing with your devices today. Less touch, more talk. Mark Cuban believes there's no future that doesn't have ambient computing or voice activation. And Gary Vaynerchuk, a passionate proponent of voice technology, believes companies built on voice technology like Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant will be the size of Pandora, Facebook, and Instagram. And the future these visionaries are talking about is coming faster than anyone truly appreciates. Since its introduction in 2014, the smart speaker install base has grown to over 157 million smart speakers in US homes alone. Meanwhile, as of January 2020, there are over 2 billion voice-enabled devices worldwide, and that number will reach nearly 8.4 billion devices by 2024. And the pandemic has accelerated the utility and value of the voice, with overall usage going up to 52% since the start of pandemic. For marketers and researchers, what we're seeing is a monumental shift, taking us into a new age of consumer engagement and consumer research that depends greatly on voice assistants and voice-first experiences, a situation that leaves marketers and researchers facing an uncertain future. Our vision is TrueReply, a complete solution for marketers and researchers that is accessible so that anyone, regardless of their level of technical expertise, can create and manage voice experiences in minutes. It's secure so that it can deploy across industries, and it's flexible, a no-code platform that allows for whatever level of experience, complexities, and integrations are needed. For marketers ready to launch voice apps today, we've created a simple, quick way to define and launch your voice app that provides real-time access to engagement insights and participant data, and makes exporting your data and integrating your data as simple as utilizing a CSV export or an automated private API. For consumers, we've made a platform that easily supports engagements across any Alexa-powered device, any Google Assistant-enabled device or phone, as well as future consumer interfaces like VR, autonomous vehicles, and consumer robots.
Yeah, we're not hearing the audio on this, Jose.
You didn't get the audio on that?
No, I just sent you a message. You might, when you do screen sharing, sometimes you have to enable computer audio when you do it. So you might need to just pull down screen sharing and do it again with checking that box.
Okay, so let's do that really quickly here, because I really want you to hear kind of what that, all the variants of brand personalization that we can support.
Welcome to the Road to SampleCon experience.
Welcome to Home Experiences.
Welcome to Sick Day Medical House Calls.
Welcome to the iHeart Pod. Welcome
to True Reply. True Reply is the #1 voice solution for enterprises and teams to create, launch, and manage your own branded voice apps. True Reply enables you to launch your voice apps instantly to Amazon Alexa, as automated experiences available via telephone, or as voice surveys to the Voice Rewards community. The real-time dashboard allows you to manage your voice apps and make changes to messaging on the fly and in real time. Monitor real-time voice app data, including participation analysis and content analysis from anywhere and at any time.
So without True Reply, launching cross-platform voice applications today has all the traditional hurdles you'd expect, including engineering challenges, bloated budgets, and frustrating and erratic timelines that rarely align well with global initiatives, clearly shown here by our very frustrated project manager. With True Reply, it's voice apps launched in 15 minutes for a simple flat rate per month. Voice apps that are simple to create and manage, fast to launch and gain insights from, and robust enough to integrate with any other platform. Now, there are a few direct competitors in the voice app publishing space today. What makes True Reply unique is our focus in giving frontline, customer-facing experience teams in marketing and research a simple and powerful solution to implementing voice strategies into their marketing and research efforts. And our customers and partners love our platform because of how easy we make it to leverage voice assistants like Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, and because of how easy it is to gain insights from their voice experiences and bring those insights back into their favorite marketing and research tools. True Reply is the voice solution for agencies and enterprise teams to launch, manage, and report on voice experiences on Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, Samsung Bixby, telephone, and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go around it in reverse this time and start with Leslie. Your thoughts?
Great. Thank you, Jose. My question is, so super clear value prop. How do you think about distinguishing yourself from a product like VoiceFlow, which also brings a lot of the same features that you're describing, where it's super simple and easy to bring voice actions on the platform without any technical experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've kind of looked and approached True Reply backwards. In other words, we really wanted to look at who we were targeting in agencies and market researchers and what their technical acumen was, what kind of tools they were used to using. And we really modeled our onboarding, our launching, our dashboards, our portals around those expectations, around that persona. So what you'll find in True Reply is a voice publishing flow, a voice management flow, a data insights, how you access your data, how you can export data, all these key elements specifically modeled towards agencies and market researchers. And that's where I think we kind of sit at a different, in a different way.
Thanks.
Thank you. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think as Leslie said, I think the value prop is pretty clear. And I guess what I'd say is we looked at the space like a year or 2 years ago. I'd actually love to hear Leslie's perspective on this too. And our take was, yeah, it would be great if there was a cross-platform development toolkit or low-code process for creating apps. But I'm not sure that I've seen the uptake in use cases that are super diverse on Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa yet. I feel like the core use cases, and this is where I'd love to hear Leslie's perspective, are still pretty basic, like listening to music and maybe asking for the weather. And I'm wondering if there really is a ton of marketer demand today for developing apps. I know early on, a lot of marketers put apps out there, voice apps out there, and they just didn't get a lot of traction. So talk to me about the ecosystem, like what's going on today and where do you see the growth happening?
Yeah, we actually saw a considerable uptick in inbound interest from agency and researchers at the start of 2020.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, with when COVID hit, we saw a lot of that interest kind of falter out. We had a lot of conversations with the larger companies in our pipeline, and what we found where they were just kind of tightening budgets and kind of figuring out where they were going to land. That has since turned around in the last about 3 weeks, where we're seeing we're seeing that kind of uptick again. And really what we're looking at is a lot of these larger companies, your Kantar, your Procter & Gamble, your Lightspeed, your market research firms, some of the top ones in the United States, they're really doing a lot of experimentation, a lot of proof of concepts, which is what we've been involved in, especially in the last 3 or 4 months. And we've actually, because of COVID and the pandemic, we've actually adjusted our roadmap. We accelerated a lot of things that we weren't even looking, we were looking out 24 months before they'd manifest. We really pushed them at the top of the list more than anything to make it even easier to implement these kinds of experiences and solutions into either, in response to and to align with kind of changing consumer behavior with everything that's going on. And you're absolutely right in the more mainstream use cases that you'll experience on these devices. We've actually been publishing in the last couple of weeks our Marketers and Researchers Guide to Voice Assistants. And we've got our second edition that just came out this week, where we actually presented, I think, 4 or 5 non-mainstream experiences that really showcase the kinds of things that marketers and researchers should be looking at. For example, like the Stephen King library experience, which is this really sonically branded experience, but the end-to-end kind of definition of that experience is, hey, let me ask you a few questions, and from those questions, I'm going to recommend to you a reading list from the Stephen King library. But the entire experience is so well branded that you're really, it really shows you what's possible. And there's quite a few other examples in there that go beyond kind of like the mainstream, what's the weather, set me an egg timer, play my latest book, and that kind of stuff, and go deeper into what I like to call like market research experiences, things that don't feel like research studies, that feel more like experiences, but the end outcome for those companies really are a better understanding of their fans, consumers, and so on.
And just to quickly chime in there, I would echo what Jose is saying around, there are some sticky core use cases like play music, turn on the lights, find a recipe. But there is a large market out there for experimentation and more sophistication of what you can do with your voice assistant. There's also, how do you not come across as if you're selling on your voice assistant? That's a really big conversation point that we talk about. So to Jose's point, I think these firms are really hungry, but you have to strike the right balance there between kind of selling and offering a unique kind of value prop for your user.
Yeah, and it's just, if I could just add one more thing there, is my vision with TrueApply is really to allow these companies that want to experiment to really focus on the creative process and not have to worry so much about the engineering process and the more deeper things that you have to worry about, resource management and project management and so on. A lot of our customers love our platform, especially when they come from having already done a proof of concept, having already gone through their own internal process of launching an experience, and to then have TrueApply come in and show them how much easier, faster, and better it can be. That's where we hit the best, the best alignments with our clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thesis behind what you're doing is spot on, because if you have, if you believe there's gonna be a fragmented market, and Google and Amazon and others are gonna be competing for consumer usage, and no one's gonna be the single winner, then you do have to have something that's cross development platform. Like I said, I wonder where we are. I know, Leslie, what inning do you think we are in the development of sort of smart speaker sophistication?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the waves of technology with mobile, in the past, I think we have to remind people that it is still early, right? I think Amazon Alexa launched, 6 years ago, and Google about 4 years ago, going on 5. So it is still early, and we've learned a lot, and we've evolved a lot in that amount of time. But I don't know. I think we're probably like in maybe the third inning, and so I think some of the data points that Jose talked about in the beginning, where voice is going in the future, the adoption we're going to see that, and so I think the skepticism is fair, but we certainly see the growth.
Okay, great.
And Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sort of in the middle of that mix of Dan and Leslie. And I actually I've had a couple conversations with Jose before. So hello, Jose. And
Hi.
I like what he's doing a lot. And I think the concept is very interesting. And I think all these devices and interactions that we're going to have are going to, we want more sophisticated interactions. And I think this idea of using kind of consumer data collection as a hook for now is a good idea. I think, I appreciate Leslie said third inning. I've been looking at speech technologies for 20 years, since my Lucent and Bell Labs days. So the technologies, obviously come a long way. But I'll say that my conversations with Jose spurred me to spend a lot of time personally with the assistants, playing around with these more sophisticated apps, looking at the skills, trying to answer market research questions. And I do find that whole experience still pretty rough and cumbersome. And so I kind of feel like we're still in the first inning on really the evolution of these more sophisticated apps. And I know that technology is evolving quickly. So the game might not take, it might not be another 20 years before we see this happening. It might only be a couple of years. But I'm definitely in a bit of a personal kind of wait and see mode in terms of seeing both how well the devices themselves facilitate these kinds of interactions and technology, and how folks like you, Jose, also facilitate the development and use of the applications.
Yeah, and the only thing I'd love to add to that in response to that, Stephen, is even in the last 18 months, we've seen such an exponential improvement in the underlying technology. I mean, Google, the Google Assistant and the Google Home devices, we've seen easily a 15 to 20% improvement in, response accuracy. And that's just been in the last, 18 months, and it was already good then. So to see that large of an improvement in such a short amount of time, I just want to echo Leslie a little bit in the sense of it's moving much faster than most other consumer technologies have in the past. The improvement, the adoption, is just everything is much more accelerated around voice. And I think that just comes from the general utility of it, how it makes everything you want to do faster and easier. I point to a simple example that I'll share before we wrap things up. The first time that you actually ask your Alexa or Google Assistant to put on the game on your TV or put on your favorite, show on Netflix, you end up throwing out your remote, because it's just an experience that's just, I don't have to switch the inputs. I don't have to switch channels. It's just 20-second request and the thing comes on. That alone gives you a feeling, a deep feeling of where this technology is going to go.
That's great.
Good point.
Very fair. Well, that was a great discussion. I hope the audience enjoyed it. There isn't too much questions from the audience, because I think you all really covered it and got really into the granular piece of it. But the one question I have is, are you finding that your clients are gaining interesting data of new products they could develop based on the questions that they're being asked? So for example, I saw Tide found out that 20% of the questions people were asking them if they could clean using Tide products, they didn't have products for it. So after getting all that Alexa data on the Tide skill, they were able to be like, oh, we need a product for cleaning sneakers, for example. So have you been able to find that some of your clients have developed new product lines or new potential value through data that they've collected through using the skill?
100%. We've had several proof of concepts done in the last 3 or 4 months. aligning directly with that in the CPG space around point of experience studies, if you will. And for example, one was with the dish soap that people were using. So they wanted to actually have people provide feedback and engage with the voice experience while they were actually using their dish soap. And that alone gave them a huge amount of insight into both how people use dish soap, which surprisingly varies in some unexpected ways, and also, what do they love most about products, about dish soap products, the smell, the feel, how good it cleans, and how those things get prioritized by consumers. So 100%, that's what we're seeing in these last few months.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're going to bring you back on for the closing remarks. I'm going to bring Matt on to share our third pitch of today. Thank you again, Jose. All right, Matt, you listening? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Whenever you're ready, you can start your screen share.
Okay. Can you see my screen now, or?
Can't see the screen yet.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's coming up. There we go. All good?
All good.
All right. So SpeakTo is a HIPAA software solution that improves healthcare engagement and overall communication between family members and their aging loved ones. So whether at home or in senior living, SpeakTo improves the lives and the communication between our elders via our innovative platform. So there are about 77 million baby boomers in the USA today. There are, according to AARP, there are 10,000 people turning 65 every day. The senior living market is about 70 billion, and it's actually growing. There are about 45,000 senior living facilities, all with hundreds of people living in them. And there's a huge trend of aging in place, people who are finding living solutions as they age that are different than what they were used to, but are continuously aging in place. So whether moving in with someone in an independent apartment or creating an independent space within a child's home, aging in place has become a huge trend with that population. The problem that we solve is pretty simple and straightforward. Seniors are a disconnected demographic. So they struggle with visual screens, they struggle with the tactile implications of screens, and screen-based technology has become a barrier for them in the world of communication. So what we've attempted to do here is to connect our elders with the screen-based generation. If you think about it, probably everybody on this call right now, on this webinar, we use screens, we text, we use Snapchat, we use Instagram, Facebook. Our primary form of communication is using a screen. Group texts, how many times do they include an elder? How many times do they include someone who has a flip phone who's aging? And because they're not included, that demographic is simply cut off. So we are connecting the screen generation to their elders. How do we do that? By providing a platform for people in the way that they're most comfortable. So for people who are of a certain age, we have an app. It runs on any phone. We have screen-based technology that works on iPads, on screen-based Alexas or Google devices. But for the senior, for the aging person, they are not comfortable with any of that, so they can simply use their voice. We have an extremely simple user interface that provides specific value, that does specific things, and it connects people in the way that they're most comfortable. What are those things that we do for people? It's really simple. Messages, the ability to message back and forth and have an interactive experience between screens and voice. The ability to ask for help or make requests, things like, I need to go to the supermarket, I need someone to come here and fix something. The ability to distribute that to a circle of trust and have people help you, and recording activities. So a big issue in aging adults is, did I have a glass of water? Did I take my walk? And communicating that to people in an effective manner. There are a lot of wellness plans out there and wellness apps out there that simply don't get used by aging people because they don't use apps. So we solve that problem as well. We have, again, a really simple user interface. I won't repeat exactly what I just said, 3 features, Down on the bottom right, though, is probably our most important aspect. We enable a circle of trust. So the ability, whether you are living in senior living and you have caregivers around you and you have a facility around you that's providing you care, we interface with those people, or we interface with people within a circle of trust that gets created either by the senior or more likely by their adult child. So brothers and sisters, grandkids, nieces, nephews, friends, we create a platform that enables people to get invited into a circle of trust and then receive requests, activities, or messages that are appropriate for them. So as an example, the grandkid probably doesn't need to know whether mom needs to go to church on Sunday, but my brother does, because that person can actually help. We filter all that. We create a way for all of that to get managed. And it comes through in a feed similar to what happens in Facebook or Snapchat or any other kind of feed. And the people who are appropriate to see and do what they need are enabled to do that through our app. We really like to emphasize, we actually started out as a company that was mostly focused on senior living, but I'll touch on COVID in a minute. We pivoted quite a bit during COVID, and we made our platform completely available to just an individual and a family at home. So we apply to senior living, but 90% of the seniors in surveys want to stay at home. So our product is actually a B2C product, as well as a product that works for assisted living, independent living. And we have statistics and ways to measure the efficacy of our product in both of those areas. All of our data can be exported into wellness plans or into healthcare plans wherever the person lives or whoever their doctors are. We have some nice traction. This is where I like to mention COVID. So we were back, at 5K, quite a bit ago. At the tail end of 2019, we were trending up towards 10K. We reached that. COVID hit. We decided that the right thing to do was to give our platform away, which had sort of two benefits. One is it validated our market. The other thing was that it was just the right thing to do. The issue that we had was, as much as it exposed the value of what we had, no one in senior living specifically could take on our product because they were in lockdown. So we did actually gain some traction. We're doing about 12K a month now. If everyone was paying us, we'd probably be closer to 23K a month. We are converting our existing customers to becoming paying customers, and that's a lot of what we're doing right now. We think we have a great team. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've had several successful companies. I actually had an exit just recently with a company that I founded. We have expertise in the field with Morgan Cadmus, who has a master's degree in gerontology and who drives a lot of our client success. And a recent person who joined, Jillian, who's on the phone, who's a great sales leader and a young entrepreneur who's really driving our product and taking a lot of leadership in the voice space in our product. And we're really lucky to have her as well. Just to highlight, we're looking to raise about 1.5 million to convert our market research project. We have about 500 people who've joined our product as part of market research in the B2C space. We're looking at about 25,000 users just in the senior living space. And if all of our projections hit, as we are, we could be at 250K of monthly recurring revenue in about 6 to 8 months. And we're looking to raise money to make that happen. And that is my very quick pitch. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to kick things off with Steve. You could stop sharing your screen in a second. That would be great.
Yep.
Ooh, everybody went first once.
I'm giving everyone the chance to go first. It's a fairness thing I'm doing.
You've been very fair, Jasmine. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think the concept of providing better access and communication to seniors that's great. And I know from my own family experiences, it can be a real challenge. I suppose for me, as you describe what you're doing, I'd like to actually see the use cases and understand how well the facility that you're offering or the platform that you're offering really facilitates that communication, whether there are sub-segments of demographics that it works better for or not, or circumstances or whatever. So I'd want to really kind of think through those use cases and what they represent to me in terms of both the size of your eventual market and your go-to-market strategy. So I think that's sort of the biggest questions in my mind listening to the story. And it sounds like obviously you're still, especially with COVID, sort of early days in developing and proving out your approach.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I don't know that I would say that we're in market. We do have paying customers. And I think the use cases that we hit are currently, valid and relevant. But I do agree with you that there's still a lot more to learn. And as this market sort of evolves, we are, monthly releasing new features based on what people are telling us. So I do think there's a combination of, we still have a lot to learn, but we're definitely in market and excited about generating revenue, today.
That's great.
Dan, you ready to go?
Yeah. So, first off, Matt, good to see you. So, SpeakTo is a portfolio company of Newark Venture Partners. So, I don't know if that's a official disclosure, but it's a disclosure. And the reason we invested, just to give a little context, is as I talked about at the outset, we have a few thematic initiatives that we're mining at Newark Venture Partners. One is audio and voice, another is healthcare. And along with Steve at TechUnited Ventures, we share a couple of large corporates that are based in New Jersey that are healthcare investors, healthcare corporations. So RWJ Barnabas Health and Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we actually think one of the great use cases for voice happens to be in healthcare because it's a more specific use case and there's more specific solution sets and dollars for those use cases. So that's just a little background. But Matt, what I'd ask you now is, how do you think about, I guess, the competitive set, especially as you're more consumer focused outside the walls of the senior centers? What are the other options for people who, for seniors who want to have a communications device, or for people who want their parents to have a device like this?
Yep. Yeah, it's a really growing market, and there are other options in the sense of other things that work with voice. Amazon just came out with something called Care Hub. We look at it as the more the better. I think the use case that most people are recognizing is, seniors who are isolated, want to be able to message back and forth, and they want some security, especially around falls. Falls are the leading cause of death for seniors, and it's the #1 healthcare cost. So the ability to have a way to communicate beyond a pendant or a physical device, to be able to just call out for help, is a huge use case. So we're seeing a lot of that happen. That's happening at the level kind of above SpeakTo. That's happening at like the Google and the Amazon level, where they're building it into their hardware and then making sure it's HIPAA compliant and things like that. We look at it as great because the more that's out there, the more our niche can fit into that. So we're really focused on messaging, on families being able to get the right information so that they can participate in the care for their elder, as opposed to focusing on, hey, someone said this, and I think they might be having a stroke based on, the intonation of their voice, or some of those really like important healthcare things that are coming. And I know MVP has invested in some other companies that are doing things like that. There's a lot going on, and we are very focused on families being able to get more informed about what's happening with the person they love and getting to communicate with them. And that whole ecosystem is addressing all of these other really important things. And we're looking to kind of fit into that ecosystem.
Got it. Thanks.
And Leslie, your feedback and thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. As you were going through your pitch, I was thinking of questions I had in my mind, and every time I had a question, you addressed it like 2 seconds after I had the,
Right.
which was kind of funny. On a relevant note, I was scanning the headlines in the Wall Street Journal this morning, and I saw that seniors are posting more videos to TikTok, and they're becoming really popular with the younger audience that flocks to TikTok, which is fascinating. I think my question for you is, what's the biggest challenge that you've had to date? Because when you think about seniors interacting with this technology, well, really any technology, I think of my aging parents and just immediate frustration, right? And then
Yeah.
quitting and, like, this doesn't work, go back to the old fashioned way. So
Yep.
what's one of the biggest challenges and how did you address it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the number one challenge, and it's ageism. It is people thinking that people who are aging, don't want to learn something new, or that they can't. If you build a user interface on an iPhone or an Android, you will find that is true. If you build a very simple voice interface, you'll find that is false. People think that old people are giving up and that they're done and they just want to sit and watch TV, and that is not the case. And we have proven that literally every day. I get a story or something from someone telling me how great it is what we're doing and how wrong people are about interfacing with seniors and their desire to learn and to stay vital and to communicate. And the people who are aging are devastated with the fact that they are no longer the center of the universe. They're no longer the person that their family goes to find out about everyone else in their family. And there really is an ageism and this thought that, well, seniors it's not sexy, right? Seeing pictures of old people using an Alexa or a Google Assistant is just not a sexy image. But there's value there and it's useful. And I think until people realize that our elders want to learn and can learn, that will continue to be the biggest barrier.
Excellent. Well, we have just a minute or two left. So I'm going to ask one question, which is, do you see this also connecting the patients to their healthcare providers, or do you see it being limited to the family?
Well, I mean, for SpeakTo, we focus on the family, but I think absolutely there is a space and there are a lot of people working on interfacing to healthcare providers. I think that is a really important part of all of this. It'll come more with HIPAA compliance. HIPAA is the barrier to a lot of these things, but absolutely it's happening. I read about it every day. It's not our focus, but it's absolutely, it's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have Jose and Roy come on and we'll do our closing remarks. We have the audience voting on their choice right now. And the last question that I personally have is, Amazon has recently been in the headlights for their new pharmacy feature. If seniors are already saying, "Hey Alexa, record my walk," is there an opportunity for them to say, "And while you're at it, refill my prescription"? Like, does this become a vehicle for that?
In my opinion, absolutely. Yeah. Again, once the privacy issues are handled, I think that it will become the user interface for people who struggle with screens, elders or otherwise. But yeah, I think there's pharmacy. I think as I took a walk, I think it's, I'm not feeling well, I need a ride to church, I need a ride to the store. I think all of it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Matt, Jose, and Roy, for joining us and pitching today. Leslie, Steve, Dan, thank you so much for joining. The discussion, the questions was incredible. Like I mentioned, this is being recorded, so we'll share with everyone listening the YouTube video afterwards as well. Thank you again so much. Audience, thank you for voting on your audience choice winner of today's 11th episode of Startup Showdown is Matt from SpeakTo. Congratulations for winning the Audience Choice Award. And without any further ado, I'm going to let everyone head off to the rest of their day. Thank you again, each of you, for joining us today. Next episode, December 10th, autonomous vehicles. We hope to see you there. And have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Jasmine.
you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good work, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.